Hey, that might work. Thanks. I can figure it out there. All right. Is it working? Sorry about that, folks. I think we're in decent shape. That's cool. I think it's going. All right, router reboot to the rescue. All right. So, we've talked about designing databases, some problems with these joins here with many-to-many relationships, one-to-many, one-to-one relationships. Now we're going to look at SQL or SQL. So SQL is the language that you use to talk to databases. There is a standard for it. It says there's like an ISO standard. Each database management system might have a couple particular quirks here and there, but generally the SQL we're going to look at will work on any database management, any relational database management system. So there's two types of SQL. And let's see. So SQL, SQL, is structured. Sure, why not? Query language. Structured query language. Okay, two types. You have DDL and DML. Okay, don't worry about it. Quizzes are open book, open notes. Don't stress. I think I posted the quiz for you guys. Did I forget to post a quiz? Now I can't remember. You know what it was when I looked up GameStop stock. They messed it up. Did I have the quiz? Chapters 1 and 2? I did, right? Nope, I did not. Nope, I forgot. So I'll post a quiz for chapter 3. My mistake. Bad. Quiz. For chapter 3. 454. Yep, my bad. Sorry. So don't worry about it. There would have been one, but there isn't. Okay. So DDL and DML here. Data definition language and data manipulation language. So it's data definition language and data manipulation language. Just pretend I wrote the right thing there, okay? So the data definition is all about how we define our tables. So we use DDL SQL to create tables. Say this is what it looks like. You might hear people use the word schema. It defines the schema or the structure of our tables, where DML is about manipulating the data inside the tables. So we need DDL first, and then we use the DML. So we won't do too much with the DDL, the data definition language. I'll help you guys build tables if you need help with that. And it's not really a class here on can you use SQL. The class is can we make PHP and Java talk to databases and do cool things. But to do those cool things, we'll need the DML, the data manipulation language. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go fire up in XAMPP, Apache, and MySQL. Now, if you just did the defaults and you go to your local host page at the port number, you should get the dashboard. So everyone got the dashboard, Project Zero, it worked great. Now, what wasn't going to work until we turned on my SQL server was this phpmyadmin page. phpmyadmin is a built-in page for managing SQL databases, which is pretty cool. So you get all sorts of cool information about your database. It should just connect, no problems. The book, if you follow through the appendix and load it up their defaults, set it up with a user account so you could log in and do all sorts of stuff. If you didn't do it, don't worry about it. We're not going to need to follow their stuff. But if you want to look at their examples, you can go load up their stuff. But for now, we're just hitting the main page, and it should just log you in right away. Now, one thing that's a little bit awkward here, but again, it's for local development work, we're not actually doing anything interesting, is if you go to user accounts, you'll see there's this root. So root is the main user, and they don't come with passwords by default. Excuse me. So what I went and did was set a password on my root for localhost. I should do it for all of them here. So you go to edit, and then you want to change password, and I just put it in test. This test is easy. Again, at this point, having a stupid password is not really better than having no password, but I just feel bad not changing it at all. I don't know, so I'm going to go put it in. Now the problem is, though, when you go change the one for root localhost, because I'm using localhost as the connection here, instead of 127.0.0.1, if you think back to your networking class, that is also localhost, and ::1 is your IPv6 localhost address. Once you change it for root localhost, it's probably going to crash on you. All right, so let me go change it again for fun. We'll change test1, right? Put in a little number here. So when I hit go, we're editing the user. Oops, editing the user we're logged in with. Does it log me in as root automatically? Test1. Try that. Go. Okay, it changed, and when I go back home, it fails. Invalid setting, can't connect. Access denied for root at localhost using password. You should check the username and password in your configuration. Make sure the corresponding information given the administrator of your MySQL server. Blah. It's a lot of words. Okay, so once you add a password, we have to go change it. So you come back to your XAMPP, you go to your Apache config, and you want your myPHP admin config. So browse there. You're going to go find the config inc PHP. I don't know why, that's what it is. And you want to edit this one with whatever your favorite editor is. I like Code, VS Code. Again, you can use Notepad, doesn't matter. And you're going to see in here, you've got root and a spot for password. It probably was blank before. I changed it to test1, so I'm going to put test1, save my file, and come back and refresh. And now it connects. Excuse me. Okay, so you can set a password there. I'm going to put it back to test so I don't forget, because I want them all to be the same. So because if you're using the latest version of this, the steps don't quite exactly match the book. Don't sweat it. They're pretty much similar enough. Okay, and I got to put it back to test. There we go. Okay, so just, you know, be careful with your users. Just, you know, again, this is all development stuff. Nothing bad should happen, but bad stuff could happen, right? Especially if this is a production system. So, but it's not. So don't worry too much about it. So anyway, what we get over here on the side is databases. And mine came with a test database, which is cool. And now we can use data definition language to create tables. You can go to the SQL page and you can copy paste what the book has, or you can write your own query stuff. That's a lot of work, especially when you can just create a table yourself. Like, here's a name. So in my test database, let's have a, I don't know, let's call this, you want to do our stock example with, it had what? Stock ID, stock symbol, current price. So it had 3 columns. Sure, we'll say go. We'll try and create a table. The graphical tools, the GUI tools here are decent, right? Not too bad. So we'll call this ID. We want it to be a type of what? Here's all of our types, right? And you get lots of options here. Typically, int, varchar are decent ones. So we like ints for our IDs. That makes life easy. And you can give a default value if you want. That's fine. This attributes. That's fine. This is our primary key, or our ID. Yep, primary key. Should be fine. Let's see. There's. How do I scroll over here? There we go. There was my scroll bar. Oof. So you get all sorts of interesting options. So you don't need all of these ones here. Most of these we don't care about. Okay, and then we had a symbol. That was going to be probably, again, varchar, because sometimes 3, sometimes 4. We don't want to pick if we don't know for sure. Maybe they're longer. No index on that one. And then we had current price. And that was going to be decimal. Okay, let's see. All right, then what's cool is you can hit this preview SQL button, and it's going to show you what the DDL SQL is for you. Yeah, your application can run DDL commands if the user has the right permissions. And we haven't really gotten to the whole permissions yet. Yep. So it's going to create a table stock, an int ID, symbol varchar, current price decimal, primary key is ID. Cool, it's looking good. Where do we want I want the auto increment. I don't remember where it is here. I always do it with a SQL, but I think it's in here too. I don't think we want to do that, right? No, nope, 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 nope. Thought there was a way. Let's just Google it. phpmyadmin create table auto increment. Help if you could spell right too. Increment. There we go. Structure. Your extra tab auto increment. Let's see if that works. The structure. Are we in? We're still creating the table. Okay, so I guess we'll set it after. Okay, so we'll save the table. A valid length. Uh-oh. Oh, this is like max length here. So maybe we'll say like up to 10 here for varchars. You have to go to max, sorry. There we go. Now I can go to structure, and we should be able to change that here. Where did they say? Structure, pencil of the variable. Change it. And under options, they said, right? We have options. I'm losing it. Under extra tab. Seeing an extra tab? Not seeing it. Did I do it wrong? Structure of your table. Variable. Auto increment. It's not there. I thought it was there. It's really weird. Oh, AI. Auto increment. Okay. There we go. Auto increment. Nice. Okay, so we could have set that originally. That was already there. My mistake. Okay, so now it's an auto increment, so it will just add it for us, which is awesome. Okay, so we got our table for stock, and let's go add another table. Now we wanted this one to be what, like purchase price or something, or purchase owned stock, purchase stock order. Sure, stock order. So it had an ID, which is an int, and we want to auto increment. Look at that, awesome. And then it had a stock ID, which was an integer. That's not that one. Oh, and this one was also our primary key. I'm gonna set that. No. Primary, there we go. And then we had what, was it purchase price? Purchase price and quantity. And those should also be probably doubles or decimals, right? Because you don't have to buy whole stocks at a time. And then do we want a portfolio? Or we can just pretend, wait, let's do the portfolio. Yeah, let's add one more column. I'll call it a portfolio. Or should it be like a user ID? How about just a user ID? Okay. So we're just setting up our table, right? Those ones, there we go. Save that. All right, but now they're not related. Right, we have them here, but we don't have relations between the tables. So under relation view, I want to add a relation. So the foreign key constraint. Where's my foreign key? Is my test database, my stock table, ID. And my column is the stock ID. So, yeah, that's fine. Right, and then these on delete, on updates, these ones are really risky if you change it. So a cascade on delete means if I go delete the ID over here, delete the data in my table. Ugh. So restrict is good because it will just make the delete over here fail. Okay, so we're going to say my stock ID column is going to reference as a foreign key to the stock table ID column. So this is, I don't know, stock ID, foreign key. I don't know. I'm sure there's some convention here. Foreign key, stock ID or something. It probably doesn't matter much. Okay. Great. So this is the DDL, data definition language, that ran here. Again, doing this stuff by hand is obnoxious. You can learn how to do all that in the database class. Ooh, look at that, create PHP code. We do that. Look at that. They even give us the PHP command. That's fancy. Okay. So we set up that relationship. Right? Let's see. We see it in the designer view. And then in designer view, it even gives us the picture. Look how cool that is. That stock ID relates to the ID of stock. So this is sort of what we were doing when we were like drawing out our databases. This view is just a list. So this is more typical. When I was doing these boxes here, I was trying to show you like we could have the data inside of it. Typically we skip that and we just go with here's the table entity. A lot like our UML diagrams, right? We got the name of the class, we have all the attributes, we have the methods. There's just no real methods typically here. I mean, there's sort of virtual things we can do like that, but don't worry too much about it. Okay, so we got stock, we got stock order. Great. Let's add a new table. Let's add, we'll call this one user, right? The user will have an ID. It is the primary key. It will auto increment. Sure. And I don't know what, a name? Why not? And maybe they make that varchar, I don't know, like up to 100 characters. Why not? Should be fine. I don't know if we need anything else for the user right now. Let's call that good. Cool. Now that I have the user table, I can go back and I can update stock order. Right? Where's my stock order? Nope, sorry, the structure. We're going to go change the relation. We're going to go add another foreign key here. So this is foreign key to user ID for my user ID field in the test database, the user table ID field. I'll save that one in. Is this kind of making sense? Again, we're just kind of using this visual designer here to go through and build the table. So we don't have to do the DDL ourselves because we're not in a database class. We're going to use the easy tool. Right, and now, so sorry, I just had to move those a little bit. We'll see we have the many-to-many relationship solved. Oh, what happened to my... That's being really funny. Okay. Well, we can see it. Cool. Hopefully I didn't change it. Okay, so we have our tables. Now, we don't have any information in them, though, right? There's nothing in here. No data. So this here is DML, data manipulation. So select, sorry, that's really tiny. I apologize. Let me zoom that in. Select star from stock. This is our common SQL language. And we're going to need to use SQL, the data manipulation language, inside of our PHP programs, inside of our Java programs. Okay, so select star saying give me everything. You could also give it a list of fields here. So if we just wanted, say, the symbol, we could get just symbol. We say select symbol from stock. Sure. Sorry, my Kids are trying to buy Minecraft, but we already own Minecraft. They are confused. So the SQL commands let us select data, which is our read. We can insert data, which is our create, right? So you have CRUD. You have create, read, update, delete. You have select for read. You have insert for create. You have update for update, and delete for delete. So most of it's relatively straightforward, but select instead of read. So if we wanted to go add some data, let's go to insert here. Let's add some stocks. Whoa, I think I got to zoom out just a little bit here. Okay, the value. So we're just going to leave that alone. It should auto increment. Let's add GameStop. And what do we say their price was, like 62 bucks a share or something? Should we go look again? But also check out AMC. That was supposed to be another popular one, right? Come on, Robinhood. Come on, my internet. We'll get AMC ready here, too. AMC, GME. So the IDs I'm going to leave alone. All right, Robinhood 59 now. Okay, and AMC 727. Is that it, or is it still loading? It's close enough, right? Close enough. So 59.1 currently, and 7.28 looks like. Sure. We'll hit go. Ooh, uh-oh. Data truncated for current price. Huh. Why does it do that? 2 rows inserted. So this is what this is the SQL it generated. It already ran it for me. So like we can use our buttons here to get some really cool, like a query builder going on. But that should be fine. So let's go back to stock. If we go to browse, let's see. We get, oh, is current price not a double? A decimal? It is a decimal. Oh, okay. I didn't give it the correct values here. Sorry. So decimals, like how many decimal places? I don't know. Let's go out to 5. That's obnoxious. Sorry. Sometimes the tools aren't so perfect. So let's go and we want to update this. So that was 59.2 and 7.26. Notice once there's data here, I can just edit it really nicely, just right in here, which is cool. Okay, let's go add a user. Let's go insert a user. ID I'm going to leave alone because it'll auto increment. This is user Eric, sure. Okay, inserted Eric. We can look at users now. Eric, ID 1. Okay, so now I can add a stock order. Now let's go to insert. So ID we're going to leave alone, stock ID. Now look, this drop-down value is telling me, hey, which one do you want? Which one do you want to pick for the stock? Isn't that awesome? What is my purchase price? Oh, we got to change our purchase price here. Let's go change that first, sorry. Under structure. Need some decimal places here. All right, 10, 5, why not? Purchase price, and we also needed quantity updated as well, right? Columns, quantity. Okay. All right, now we can go add some stock orders. Try it again. So stock ID, let's buy some GME. Purchase price, if at like 200. Quantity was 10, right? And the user was Eric. Add that one. Okay, that one worked. Now let's go back. Let's add one for, oh, I need insert, sorry. Add some AMC stock. Let's say purchase price. This is the PHP MySQL admin. We're just setting up our database, adding some data. So let's add, I don't know, what was AMC? Like $28 a share or something like that at 10 shares. User Eric. Let's go add that one. Okay. Awesome. So now we've got some data. So I see them in here. So now I don't see what they relate to, but I can, if I hover over it, if I click on it, it takes me to it. So the hover gave me the name information about it here, which is cool. You can just kind of explore your data and see what's going on. So now we want to write some SQL. Now we need to go do something interesting. So I'm going to go back to my database just at the top level and hit SQL. And now we can write some SQL commands. Right, so we want to select, we could say star. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. That's a little bit too much, sorry. Select star from, so I just want everything, all the fields from what? I want stock. Right, and I hit go. That'll give me all the information from stock. Cool. Okay, now let's edit. Let's change it here. Now, if we want to connect the dots here and say, hey, find the relations here and give me some information. So we're going to select start from stock. I'm going to say Interjoin. I'm going to say stock order. On stock order dot stock ID is equal to stock.id. So in Interjoin is how we connect the tables together. Say, hey, match on with the on this field here, where this one matches this one. So there are other joins. Interjoin is the most common. Again, take the database class if you want to learn more about the other joins. But for now, this is the one we're going to use because it actually connects the dots. So it's going to be all the stocks match on stock order. And this will give me all the information from both tables with a star here. So I hit go. We're going to see the stock information here. Then I'm going to see the stock order information here. So it just kind of goes in order, and it doesn't name them all that well, which is a little bit unfortunate, but don't worry too much about it. Okay? So that will give you that information. Okay? Then some other cool things we can do. Let me go back. Or we want to edit that one, right? Oh, shoot. I was wrong. That's all right. We'll just rewrite our SQL. With SQL, you can do arithmetic. So we're going to say select, we're going to say current, we'll start with star from stock. And then we want to interjoin stock order on stock order dot stock ID equals stock.id. And use the tab for type ahead, it's amazing. So now I want to change star. So if you leave star in, it's easiest to get moving, and then we can change the fields that we want. So we're going to say the current price. I'm sorry, so it gets confused sometimes. If you say stock dot current price, it'll know specifically which one you want. So I want stock current price times stock order dot quantity. And I'm going to use this as, and then in quotes here, I'm going to say this is current price. And then you comma separate. So what's the next value I want? Then I want stock order dot quantity times stock order dot purchase price, and I can just bump these down here. So a lot of people have particular ways of formatting here, like the format ought to do it. Yeah, so like it'll tab all the select stuff in, they'll bring the froms back. Auto formatting is really nice, just make it look pretty. We're gonna do that as purchase price, or purchase total, I guess. This is current value. Okay, so we have two pieces of information here. So it'll tell me what the current value is and then the purchase total. And we probably also want the stock.symbol. Right? So we'll know what the stock is, and you can put them in any order you want. So we'll do the stock symbol first, maybe. And then we'll do that one. Current price, current value, and the purchase total. So let's run that one. So now I get the current value of GME with, what was that, 10 shares, right, at $59.2 per share. That's my current value. My purchase total was this amount. Cool. So let's edit that one. And then let's say this is really the net, so the current, or the purchase price. Oh no, it's current value. That's right, current value minus the purchase total. Let's see if we can put that as some order of operations here. As I'm not really sure, Absol. That's not a kind of thing I'm familiar with. This is net gain / loss. Alias was previously found. Oh, what did we do wrong? Doesn't like it. As net. I need that whole thing in parentheses, maybe? Sometimes it gets picky. I have too many parentheses now? No? It's fine without it. Oh, my comma up here. I was missing a comma up there, that's why. As net gain loss. Okay, and let's run that. Hey, no problem, Appsloth. You take care. Here we go. So you can see now, current value, purchase total, and your net gain or loss. Wah, wah, wah. You buy stock when it's high, and it goes low, you lose money. Right? Everyone knew it was a gamble. Right, you guys with me so far? Again, some of this, the select SQL stuff is a little bit tricky. Don't worry too much about it. I can help you with most of it, but we are going to get doing a lot of using this as we start talking with our database. So you select the fields you want from the tables you want, and you connect your tables using inner joins. So if we wanted another table here, we could also get interjoin user on user.id equals stock order dot user ID. And again, we're not really using that information anywhere, so I wouldn't worry about it. Ooh, look at that. That did some weird formatting. I don't like that, but sure. So we don't really have anything. Now the next interesting piece here. Let's do this. Let's look at. So this is all the information everywhere, right, which is not ideal. So let's add another user. Here, actually, let me save that here. Oh yeah, bookmark this SQL query. This is net loss. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, maybe I can come back to it now. I don't know. We'll see. Let's add another user. And let's insert some data. Let's add, this is smart person. Okay, so now we got a smart person. So let's add a stock order for the smart person. Let's insert some data. Let's say, I should have called them a lucky person, I should say. The GME, let's say they bought it at $14 a share, and they bought 1,000 shares for smart person. And then maybe they also bought some AMC when it was like $6 a share, or $4 a share, sure, whatever. Let's just make it up here. And they bought 1,000 shares of that too. Why not? We're just making up the data. Okay, so it added the data here. So now if I go back to my query, I think I can find it here. Let's see if that works. Net loss. There we go. And then let's add it. So now I'm getting multiple information here. So I want to go and edit it. I want to get some more user information here. And I want to add like user dot. Yeah. User dot. There we go. User dot. We want the name, right? And then the symbol. Sure. So we can do that. Let's go. And I'll see, okay, Eric, this one here, this one here. But what if I didn't want to show everyone's information? What if I only wanted to show some information? So now we're going to add a new piece to our SQL query. We're going to add a where clause. So where lets us restrict which pieces of information we're going to get. So we can put in all sorts of expressions here. So essentially it's a Boolean expression. We're going to get where something is true. And if that's true, we're going to return the data. So a lot of times you might say like stock.name, stock.symbol, we could say it equals GME. So only give me results where the stock symbol is GME. If we run that, we're going to get information for just the GME symbol stocks. So the where clause is restricting your results. It's saying only where it matches, where this is true. Okay? Or maybe we don't want just that stock. Maybe we want to run it for just one person. So we'll say where the user.name is Eric. Like just show results for Eric. We can run that one. And I'll get just my results out of it. So we can use that where clause to restrict what we're showing. Does that make sense? Okay. Other things we could do, we can run insert commands. Right? We were using inserts here, but if we were to do it through PHP, we have to be able to run the commands ourselves. So what we can do, let's go back to SQL here. We could say insert, and you say insert into the table name. So I want to insert into stock order. Then what you give it is you give it the list of columns. So I'm going to insert, so you don't ever insert an auto increment field. So I never need to insert ID. So I'm going to insert just purchase price. I'm going to insert quantity. I'm going to insert stock ID. I'm going to insert user ID. User ID. Okay, so that's my field list. So you always want to use a field list. This is a really good best practice. You don't have to use it if you're inserting every column, but the problem is the order of the columns could change, and if you don't list the columns, you might be using the wrong order. So by telling it what columns you want, we're going to give it columns in that order. So we'll say values, and then in parentheses we give it each one we want to order. So purchase price, let's buy some more GameStop. So maybe it's 60 bucks a share. Let's buy 10 more shares. Stock ID was 1. I happen to know it's 1. I'd have to go do some lookup otherwise. And for user 1, let's go buy some more shares for Eric. So we're going to insert into the stock order table these fields, the values right here, the values here for these fields. Okay, so then we'll go and insert. Go. And it inserted it. So now we come back and we can take a peek at our SQL again. If we can run that bookmarked one. Net loss. And we'll see, oh, there's more GME. Oh, I forgot to update this one with my name in here. So we want user.name, right? User.name. And we want to bookmark this one. Net loss. Replace bookmark, yes. Okay. Okay, so now I see Eric, GME, another GME order. Okay. Purchase total. So only lost $8 on that one versus $1,400 on the other one. Right, so we can insert. You can also update. And we can update existing data. So say I were to go sell some shares. Okay. Sure, let's go sell some. Again, we're not tracking that sale anywhere. We'd probably do that somewhere else, but that's okay. We're just going to go update the stock order. So we're going to say update stock order. So that's the table we want to update. And what do we want to change? We want to set quantity equal to what? Well, if I'm going to sell some, let's set quantity equal to, maybe I sold 5. Now, right now, this would update every stock order. So I want to say where, I want to be specific. Well, which order did I want to update? Well, let's go look. Let's take a peek at stock order again. So updating by ID, by primary key, is usually best, but you can update by any value. So I could say where stock was GME, I could say where user ID was Eric, I could say purchase price was something. You can use any condition. But for this, I want to know, I want to sell the 10 shares here, right, for ID 1. So where ID equals 1. So I'm going to update stock order, set the quantity to 5, where the ID matches 1. Okay, so it updated it. So now if we go back and look at our data, if I just refresh, I did have 10. It's going to change it to 5. Now the quantity is 5, right? We updated the quantity. So updating stuff in the database that is supposed to be like a transaction log is really dangerous. You got to be careful with that. because now I've just changed history and said, oh, I didn't actually buy 10 at $200 a share. I only bought 5, as I'm erasing my losses. So like ideally we'd put in like a sale, right? We'd put in, hey, I had a negative quantity or something. I don't know. We got lots of options for how we want to do that. Probably a negative quantity might make sense. Okay? Does this make a little bit of sense? We can also delete too. Well, let's delete. So let's go back and edit the query. We'll just pretend that smart guy never happened, right? So we're going to say delete, and it's delete from. So update, you don't say from, you just say update table. You delete from. I don't know why. Just bookmark that page in the book and remember it. We're going to delete from stock order, where user ID equals 2. Let's just get rid of smart guy. Right? Ooh, actually, here, let's do this first. Let's delete from user, where ID equals 2. Let's try and delete smart guy from users and see what happens. Ooh, here. Remember that foreign key constraint? We said restrict. It says, hey, a foreign key constraint fails. So it won't let us do it. That's a good thing. We don't want to do that. So it's telling us, hey, there's data over here in the stock order for that user. That's a good thing. We didn't actually want to have that delete happen. But now let's delete from stock order, where user ID equals 2. So we can delete his stock orders first. Okay, now the stock orders are deleted. Now if I come back and run my query on stock orders, I guess I can just hit refresh. See, it's gone. His data's gone. Okay, so you can create with an insert, you can read with a select, you can update with update, and you can delete with delete. Okay, so we're using the MySQL database. MySQL is great. It's free. Excuse me. So it is popular because it's free. It's open source. Lots of people can connect to MySQL databases, and it's got good security. It's actually a very good database. Got some good stuff there. So we're using the PHP web admin. There's also a client you can use, like a command line client. I think that's terrible, and I don't recommend it. So we just won't. We're just going to use my PHP admin. And again, you could run the book scripts if you want to create databases and do all sorts of things. We're not going to. I'm just going to do my own examples. If you like the book ones to follow along, you can go with those. Let me know if you need help getting them set up. And I think we've got all the book stuff out on the virtual machines as well. Let me know if that doesn't work for you. But you should be able to do all that there as well. So we run SQL statements. The last thing we're going to want to do is create a user. So right now, root can do everything. They have full access to the database. That's dangerous. What we want to do is we want to have a user that has the least possible permissions. That's like a security. That's a best practice. So the user that you need should have the least amount of permissions to be able to do what they have to do. So for our PHP applications, all we need is a user that can create, read, update, and delete. They shouldn't be able to change tables. They shouldn't be able to do all that other stuff. Like we want to restrict the regular user of what PHP can do to just reading data, updating data, creating data, deleting data, those sorts of things. So we can create users with a user account and give them certain access to whatever we want them to do in our database. And we'll actually do that next chapter. It shows you how to do it at the end of this one, but like we don't actually set it up till next chapter. When we get to, okay, so we've got a database, now how does PHP talk to it? And that's the real fun stuff. Okay, so this was just a primer on SQL, me trying to give you the 1200 class as fast as possible. We covered a lot of bases, definitely not everything. We're going to use the tool as often as we can to avoid doing stuff by hand, right? Which is pretty cool. So we can turn our queries into PHP code, so we can test them out here before we put them into our PHP application to make sure they work. Because troubleshooting, like having to update PHP code, save, rerun the PHP, and then come back to find out there's a SQL error is really obnoxious. So a lot of times we'll do our SQL testing right here in PHP admin, MyAdmin, and then we'll turn it into PHP once we know that the SQL side of things works. And that life is good. Okay, other questions, folks? I know this was kind of a lot, so take some time, make sure it starts up for you in XAMPP, start up your MySQL database, start up Apache, make sure you get to the MyPHP admin, go play around, build some tables, try and do those relationships, add the foreign keys, insert data, delete data, update data. Just play around with it. Have some fun. Pick any of the examples we did. Hey, Blowfish, sorry, we're just taking off here. Friends of just 5 lines in my INI file. Oh yes, Project 1 Rubric. Thank you. I forgot to add that. Let's go talk about that. So, oh, people submitted without a rubric. I'm sorry. If you object to my rubric, please let me know. But it should be just everything from the description here. It's just going to put point values for it. That's all. So I need to save all that, and let's add a rubric. I hate how the view here hides the project definition. It's really annoying. Delete, delete, delete. So you either get the point or you don't. It is complete or it's missing. Okay, so put out my definition here. Okay, so our input PHP page. Or the index PHP page. Right, we need to have all of the inputs here. Right? So inputs for, index PHP page, inputs for current age, desired retirement age, current savings, current balance, how much additional savings, how much per year. Apparently it can't be too long here. That's interesting. Oops. Whoa. Typing too many things wrong here. Okay. So you have all the inputs on the index page. That's just a boring form. You get a point for that. Index PHP page get or post to, I don't know, retirement calculation PHP page. If your page is named different, don't stress about it. Just it's going to send the data to another form. Okay, either get or post. I don't care which one. Okay. Then the actual form itself needs to do the right things. Okay, so then the retirement calculation PHP page. It's I don't know what process is. They get post data and saves to variables. Get a point for that. Oh, these levels things are stupid. Okay. And then we're going to, for every year, retirement adds additional savings balance, and adds interest. Okay, that was the idea. As we're looping through savings, right, we get the 2% annual rate of return. So take the current value, increase by 2, but don't forget we also have to add that additional savings per year, every year as well. So that one I have to do custom points for this, sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the same thing here, but now our investment, additional investment to investment balance, and adds interest. Interest isn't really the right word for it here, but just sure, adds rate. I guess rate of return. 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 Okay, another 2 points for that one. And then the last thing it was going to do, right, was going to display value of savings and investment each year. That was our retirement page. And last one, just one last point here. Displays present value. Is that what I called it? Oh, future value, sorry. Future value. Value of the total retirement savings adjusted or inflation. Right, and the idea here is that if things get 2% more expensive per year, then if you've saved $1 million, but it's been 30 years, that 2% goes up 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, right? So 1.02 to the 30. Everything now is essentially off by 1.81, right? So the 2 gallons of milk now costs, or the one, if milk costs $1, now it costs $1.8. So we're going to take our savings and divide by that value, right? So if we manage to save $1 million, is cool, right? Sounds like a good amount. But if we divide it by 1.811, it's really only worth about $550,000 in today's value, right? So you have to consider that as you're planning out retirement savings. Okay, and there's just 1 point for doing that calculation. That should be the 10 points. That makes sense? I think we have everything here. So the index page of the form, 1 point. Get or posts, right? So like if it's just there, you just have the inputs, sure, you get a point, even if it doesn't post anywhere. If it actually posts there, you get another point. If we process our data, saves our variables, right, get all the stuff out of the post or the get array, great, we get a point. Hopefully we're doing this with the clean processing. Right? You can use the input validation, right? If it should be a number, make sure it's a number, that sort of thing. It's not required, but it's a better practice. That we do our loop calculations, right, for savings and investments and display the values each year. That's the bulk of it, is doing that. And then the last little point here for displaying that future value. Okay, so we attach the rubric, save that, and we should be good. Other questions, thoughts, concerns? All right, awesome. Again, sorry for the technical trouble earlier. Glad it's working a little better here with after that router reboot. Ooh, I only have 20 out of 27. That's not good. My end grades are due shortly. So if you've not turned in Project Zero, I'm going to be pestering you because you have to have that in, or otherwise you're going to get an end grade. But you guys are all listening, so I'm assuming you all got Project Zero in. So it probably doesn't apply to you folks, but we'll have to check on that in a little bit. All right, any other questions, or we can call it a day? Go and practice. Right, take the time to practice. Please don't just say, "Oh, class was half the time. I get 2 hours back." Like, take the 2 hours to go practice and try these things, or an hour 45, right, until 3:45, or 4:40, 5:40. No, 1 to 4:45. Yeah, another hour 45. Yeah, go practice. Right, try making some tables. Use the tool. Right. I don't recommend you just try and write your own DDL, the data definition language. Don't try and do all that for creating tables. Just use the tool for it. It's easy. Right? Where we're not often going to have to generate dynamic tables anyway, where we're going to need that SQL. We will need to be writing SQL commands for doing the selects, the updates, the inserts, and the deletes. We'll be doing a lot of that in our projects. Okay? Because we're actually interacting with the data in the database in PHP. But once the tables are done, the tables are done. We don't need to do anything dynamic there. And our user probably won't even have access to that. Yep, practice. Practice, Ray. You got it. 1,000 bonus points for practicing. Sadly, the bonus points aren't actually worth anything. And one other shout out here, if I haven't mentioned it before or recently, we do have free tutoring available through the Academic Support Center. So you are welcome to go and check that out. You can book appointments one-on-one with individual appointments with a tutor, completely free. I mean, you don't have to pay anything for it for the meeting. But like it's paid for by your student fees and that sort of thing here. So take out their link to tutoring here in the syllabus. Check this out. We have the Orchard Ridge tutoring schedule. And we have 2 awesome tutors. We have Tim and Rika. Both of them tutor for 2454. Tim tutors everything, and Rika 2454 is on her list as well. So you can book appointments with them on one of their available dates and times to get some tutoring in. Just an individual appointment. Meet with them. Again, they're not going to do the work for you, but they're going to help you find the information you need to make this thing work. Okay? And Tim also does tutor for math. So just make sure, right? You know, I think you can book early. I don't know what their requirements are for booking, but get in touch with them and you can go from there. All right. It's been fun. You guys take care, and I'll see you next week then.